What's up, everybody? My name is Scott Waters, and welcome to No Life Metal. Gonna be doing a rock metal update. That's right, it's time for a rock and metal update. All vinyl, mostly 12-inch vinyl. I got one 10-inch vinyl in here as well. Mix of styles, from thrash, traditional metal, to classic hard rock stuff mixed in here. Most of the thrash and metal is at the beginning, but gonna get right into it. So this is a repressing of the classic 1990 debut from Exor. Although Exor had been around for many years before this, they did really record a full-length album that was released on a label at least. And this is they're considered you know, one of the originators of the groove metal sound that became popular in the 90s, with bands like Pantera and Machine Head and whatnot. But you know, some people have claimed Pantera kind of stole Exorder's sound. I don't know that I would agree with that. You listen to this album, and I just don't think, listening to this, think, wow, it sounds like Pantera. Doesn't really do that to me. This is more thrash, a little more thrash than Pantera was. Pantera started off as a traditional heavy metal band, went into the more groove-oriented stuff. Never really were. I know some people call them thrash. I never heard the thrash metal in the Pantera, but whatever. This is a great album. I don't know why I'm talking about Pantera when I got Exorder up. I guess it's just natural. But classic album from them. I just recently saw them with Heathen and Death Angel, and they were great. I really enjoyed them. Despite their bass player having some issues with his rig, he had to disappear off stage for a moment because there was nothing coming out of it. But I mean, they were just professionals and just pushed right through it, and it was a very, moving over a little bit here, very enjoyable show. So, all right, next up, this is a 3-band collection of demos. So you've got Law's Rocket, you've got Scepter, and Vio-lence. And Vio-lence takes up the entire A side. So you've got Eternal Nightmare, Paraplegic, Bodies, and Kill on Command. And then on the B side, you've got Prelude to Death, Black Leather, and Silent Scream from the Prelude to Death demo from Law's Rocket. And then from Scepter, you get Scepter, 144,000 Gone, and Taken by Force from the Scepter demo from 1983. Actually, the Law's Rocket is also from '83, and the Vio-lence demo is from 1988. So this is the second one. I think the other one I have, gosh, who was on it? I know it's Anthrax and Overkill. Yeah, I think Anthrax and Overkill is the other one I have. So these collections are kind of cool. These early demos, I dig them. This is an EP, one that I've been looking for a while. This is the last thing that Nuclear Assault put out. This is Pounder. There's a bunch of different versions of this floating around there. Originally, it was just released as a, digital release, which I hate. I did listen to it back in the day, and I thought, oh, it's cool. I love Nuclear Assault, so that's cool. But I was not interested in downloading or paying for downloads, so I just kind of held off. Ended up finding a CD of it years later. I've been trying to find a decently priced, vinyl copy, and finally found a good one. So this is on Sisyphus Records, USA. And Dry Heave Records in London, and this is a 4-track EP. Pounder, The Blind, Follow, aka Lies, Analog Man in Digital World, and Died in Your Arms. And this is not the full original band. We do have John Connolly on guitar and lead vocals, so you're definitely going to get that Nuclear Assault sound from there. Obviously, Dan Looker on bass and vocals, Glenn Evans on drums, who also played in TT Quick, and then a new guy, well, new as far as being in this band, but Eric Burke on lead guitar. And there you go. So, Nuclear Assault, Pounder. When did this thing come out originally? I'm thinking it was like almost 10 years ago or more. It had to be like 2014, 15, somewhere in that area, as I recall. Okay, let's see. We have more thrash in here. Let's see. Yeah, there's a couple more thrash albums in here. We'll pull those to the front, and then we'll get to the more traditional metal and stuff like that next. Yeah. All right. So then we have, speaking of Vio-lence, The Eternal Nightmare. This is obviously their debut. This is a reissue on Bloody Flesh Marble. Bloody Flesh Marble is pink. It's literally like this hot pink looking vinyl. But yeah, I've had an original CD pressing of this for decades. This thing came out back in what, 1988 or so. Am I right on the year? It says 2023 on the back of this, but I'm pretty sure it was 1988. Let's see here. There we go. So we've got a nice little insert with photos and a collage of flyers, write-ups, and lyrics and liner notes and that kind of thing. So that's kind of nice to have. And then comes with a polyline sleeve, metal blade polyline sleeve at that. And here is your bloody flesh marble. It's just a pink with a little bit of white marbling in it, but yeah, it's just pink. And the reason I find that I'm using is because my band many years ago, when one of the labels, licensed our Into the Pit album, would have been Rox Records, they wanted to do a blood splatter on it, so it was going to be clear vinyl with red blood splatter, and I've seen other bands do that before, and I'm like, yeah, that's awesome, great. So they went ahead and they sent it off to the record company at the time, which was Rainbow Records, which no longer exists. But when it was delivered, the vinyl was pink. The clear vinyl and the pink and the red just kind of mushed all together, and you kind of had this pink marbling. That was it. So yeah, anyhow, our blood splatter vinyl was pink, and this, what were they calling this one? Bloody flesh marble is also just pink. So anyhow, I found that amusing. So, all right, next up, can't remember if I showed this one or not, but this is Death Angel. This is them basically live in the studio playing deep cuts from their old albums. Really enjoyed this. I mean, it was really good to listen. I've listened to this thing 2 or 3 times already. Again, I've seen these guys just recently. I've seen these guys like 3 times in the last 10 years. And they've just been in Albuquerque that much, which is unusual because we don't get a lot of concerts here. But yeah, this song began the other, I don't know, maybe a month ago. Ticket stub I threw in the back of here. But yeah, this is great. Great studio album, even though it's not really new material. Very, very worth picking up the Bastard tracks if you're into traditional thrash or if you're into Death Angel at all. This one here I've been after for a while. I got it in a trade. Unfortunately, it got a little beat up in the mail. I got a big ding in the corner. But this is the Walmart red vinyl pressing of Kill 'Em All. Bang the head that doesn't bang. Man, that whoever scanned the back, it's just dark and all the shadows filled in, the details just aren't there. It's not a great reproduction job there, but the vinyl sounds good. It is on Blackened Records, which of course is Metallica's label, but I don't know if you can see the corner or not, but yeah, I got a nasty ding in the mail. It is what it is. It's my copy. I basically wanted a player copy because I have my original '83 pressing it's still in really good condition, but it's been played a lot. So I just I want to get a better player copy because that is an album that I play quite often. Okay, next up. This is not UDO. This is Dirk Schneider, Udo Dirk Schneider. This is a solo album of sorts, but it's all cover songs. Now, this thing came out last year, and I kind of put off getting it. I don't know why, because I kind of like cover albums. I like, my favorite bands covering my other favorite bands, but this one's pretty diverse as far as style goes. But even the stuff that's outside of what you might think sounds good for Udo sounds pretty damn good. So you've got Faith Healer, which I think is the Alex Harvey band. The Crazy Fire from the Crazy World of Walter Brown. Sympathy from Uriah Heep. They call it Nutbush from Tina Turner. Again, see that's where I was like, okay. But he actually does a really good job, and they do kind of a a metalized version of that track. Mountain Silver Mountain by Rainbow. Hellraiser by The Sweet. That was been covered before. Raven covered Hellraiser. No Class by Motorhead. Great choice. Rock and Roll by Led Zeppelin. The Stroke by Billy Squier. Another one that's probably the sore. This it just sticks out like a sore thumb. It's even on here where they kind of have everything sounding the same and everything's got like a metal sound to it. Even that song is a bit outside of it. But there's this big booklet inside where Udo explains each and every song and why he chose them, and it's just that was one song he really loved, and he wanted to do it. So anyhow, Painted Black by Rolling Stones. He's a Woman, She's a Man by the Scorpions. TNT by AC/DC. Jealousy by Frankie Miller. Hellbent for Leather by Judas Priest. We Will Rock You by Queen. Kevin Zusas by Wolf's... Who? Man, I can't barely read. It's like a handwriting font, so I'm having a hard time reading some of this stuff. Wolfshear, I think, is the name of the... W-O-L-F-S-H-E... I really can't read those last few letters. Anyhow, and then My Way by Frank Sinatra. Again, a track you wouldn't think associate with Udo Dirk Schneider or accept, but he does a great job. This is a really enjoyable album. Surprisingly, I bought mine, and it even came with an autographed postcard, which I thought was really cool, because it didn't say anything about that when I ordered it. So very, very cool. I'm glad to have it. This is an album I've been after for a long time. I've seen them on this tour. I've had the CD since it came out. The vinyl keeps coming out and then disappearing as quickly as it comes out, and the price jumps up to like $50 and $60, which I'm just not willing to pay. But I finally got a decent copy of Accept, Blood of the Nations. Absolutely love this album. Like I said, saw this band on this tour in Hollywood. They were fantastic. Mark Tornillo just tore it up on vocals, and got to meet the whole band afterwards, and they were really cool. There's not a bad song on this one. I think this is like a perfect Accept album. Beat the Bastards, Teutonic Terror, Blood of the Nations. There's just so many great tracks on here. It also has a Time Machine, a song called Time Machine, which apparently wasn't on the original release. I don't remember it being on the CD that I have. And then Pandemic's a great song. And the whole thing is produced by Andy Sneap, who just gives these guys just a biting metallic sound. It's a great album. If you have ever doubted listening to Accept without Udo in it, and you just want to dip your toes in the water and check out an album, this is the one to check out first, in my opinion. This one made me a believer. Of course, it's not hard for me to be a believer when I was already a fan of T.T. Quick to begin with, and thought that was a great choice for replacing Udo. Brand New Raven, All Hell's Breaking Loose. This album is fantastic. This will be in my top 10 of the year. Can almost guarantee it. It's going to be hard for anybody to knock this out of that spot, because I just thought this was a fantastic album. I thought their last album was great too. I'm not sure if I like this one better than the last one, but I just think these guys are on a roll at the moment. Their first three albums are just considered, a trifecta of metal perfection, and I love all three of those. I honestly think that the last three Raven albums have also been perfect. Just great, frantic, crazy Raven music as you expect from them. Don't expect the mid '80s when they're on Atlantic Records. It ain't that, but it's very manic heavy metal. If you love the early Raven stuff, I can't imagine you wouldn't like All Hell's Breaking Loose. Great album from them. Very cool cover art. This whole album is just fantastic. Like I said, I'll be shocked if it doesn't make my top 10. As well as this one. I mean, I like this band a lot, but this one really just immediately clicked with me, and I've already played this one 3-4 times. Brand new Jag Panzer. This is The Hallowed. Fantastic album from them. I really highly recommend it. If you like classic Jag Panzer, you're going to dig this album. It's really, really well done. Let me pull this one out of the sleeve real quick here. This is a great picture of the band on the inside. They did an awesome campaign for this one too. Old school mailers. Alright, so who's in the band? So we've got 3 of the 4 original members. I mean, these guys have always had a dual guitar sound, but they've had many second guitar players. But original guitar player, Mark Biotti, is still in the band. And then you've got original vocalist Harry Conklin. And then you've got John Tetley in the band as well. And John has been with the band since the first album as well. So, let me see, I pulled up the other guy's name because I knew I would remember. And John, by the way, is the bass player, if I didn't say that already. So the other guys are Ricard Stjernquist and Ken Roderit. I had to look it up because I didn't know. Anyhow, Jag Panzer, brand new album, 2023, The Hallowed. Really solid production, great songwriting, very hooky. As usual, they're telling stories throughout. And I haven't looked into this enough to know if it's actually the entire thing is a concept album. I tend to think it is, just from listening to it the few times that I have. But yeah, if you like Jag Panzer, you're going to dig this album. It's really, really well done. And like I said, they had this kind of old school campaign. They sent out these postcards. Here's just one of them. You can see. And I just happened to throw this one inside the album so I wouldn't lose it. The other two were actually put away inside of a folder. But Jag Panzer, The Hollowed. Really got into this band's new album, so I started looking for some of their other stuff. But this is Witch Hazel. Sojourn. This is their second album. I believe they have 4 albums total. Traditional heavy metal, kind of epic and melodic. If you dig Manila Road, Sirith Ongol, Warlord, those kind of bands, yeah, you'll probably dig this as well. Really solid, just straightforward heavy metal, but a bit melodic. So, next up, little death thrash. This is Deceased. This is a 10-inch record. This is their 1988 demo, Birth by Radiation. This just came out, I think this is this year. And I don't know how many copies of this were pressed, but this is on Extreme Music, Death Cult number 50, 10 inches of Death Cult. So Birth by Radiation, Vomiting Blood, Virus, Worship the Coffin, Hallucinating Mutants, Immune to Burial, apparently I can't speak or read, Decrepit, Coma, and Deformed Tomorrows. So there you go, Deceased, Death by Radiation. I picked this one up directly from King Fowley. The rest of these are kind of your classic rock stuff, but picked up a Japanese pressing, the very first Cheap Trick. I love this album. It's just a great record. It's a heavy rocker from Cheap Trick. Their first album was produced by Jack Douglas. None of their other albums really sound quite like this one, in my opinion. If you might remember Jack Douglas, he's the one who produced all the heavy 70s albums from Aerosmith. So, you know, Get Your Wings and Toys in the Attic and Rocks and Draw the Line, that was all Jack Douglas. And this here is Jack Douglas too. So, fantastic album from Cheap Trick. Found a copy for a decent price, Japanese copy, so I always looking for Japanese pressings and grabbed it. Next 3 are the same band. This is Humble Pie, Performance, Rockin' the Fillmore. I just got into a Humble Pie mood and was jonesing to hear some of my old Humble Pie records. And honestly, when I sold my collection in 1990, I got rid of them all. And I really hadn't picked up any more since. It's funny because I have Steve Marriott's solo album and other stuff from them, but I didn't have any 12-inch vinyl. So I started looking for stuff, and unfortunately vinyl is so pricey at the moment. But I got these for a decent price, and these are decent copies. So Humble Pie, Performance, Rockin' the Fillmore. This is the gatefold version of it with the die-cut insides, so you can see the center labels on the inside. And you can see the holes, and there's the vinyl right there. The cover obviously has some wear. This is what, 1972, I think this was released. Let me see if there's a date on the back somewhere. Do not see a date on here anywhere. But I'm thinking it's definitely early 70s, so it's got to be 72, 73, somewhere in that area. I mean, these guys have been around since the 60s, and band that Peter Frampton was once a part of before he went solo, but he was done on this album. I think this is like got to be their 4th album, something like that, maybe 5th album, somewhere in that area. But yeah, I really enjoyed this record. It's got some long jams on here. Matter of fact, side 3 is one song, and side 2 is one song. Walking, Gilded Splinters, and Rolling Stone take up a side each. Great, very bluesy, hard rock. You know, obviously Steve Marriott. Everybody knows, you know, Humble Pie is. If you don't, you probably don't know much about classic rock. But then I believe this might have been the follow-up. This is Eat It, another album I had back in the day. So I just wanted a copy so I could hear it, and I picked up this nice clean copy. The cover's in pretty good shape. It is an original, you know, an older pressing, but it's got a book inside of it, and you can see there's the inside, and there's the book, and you can see the book is in really good condition. However, because it's been sitting in this thing for so long, and it's saddle stitched, the stitching is beginning to give loose because it's just old. You can see right in here, see the stitching is giving way in the inside, but yeah, it's got the original book in it. It's got that nice record store smell as well. Some people hate that. My wife's not a big fan. Walking into record stores, kind of has it almost smells like, you know, moldy cardboard, I guess. But I love that smell. So Humble Pies, Eat It, classic album. I did a poll on my Facebook page asking people what are the best Humble Pie records, because I just was in this Humble Pie mood, and those two and this one came up as their best. So I found all three. I'm going to be ordering more in the future. Kind of curious if you guys are in Humble Pie, what are some of your favorites? What do you think I'm missing? Because literally I only have these three at the moment. So this is Smokin', which came, I believe, after Eat It. We're right around the same time anyhow. It's funny, some of these early pressings just don't have years on the back of them. Yeah, anyhow, another great hard rock album. Humble Pie, Smokin', classic rock, bluesy, very bluesy album. Of course, Steve Marriott. And then finally, this is a newer album from Pat Travers. This is 2015, Purple Pyramid Records. I really, really enjoyed this album. This sounds like classic Pat Travers band stuff from the 70s. You know, chances are, you know, if you don't know who he is, you've probably at least heard the song Snorting Whiskey and Drinking Cocaine. That's one of his classics. And, of course, he had a huge hit with a cover of the blues classic Boom Boom Out Go the Lights. Canadian artist. I'm just a big fan. I have been since I was a kid. My first big concert experience was seeing Pat Travers opening up for Aerosmith. He was on the Black Pearl tour. So I've just remained a fan all these years, and I quite like his music. It's just guitar-driven hard rock, and that's what it's always been. He does have quite a few blues albums as well, but this is more in the classic 70s hard rock sound. Cool liner notes on the back, too. He kind of writes a little bit about how this album came to be, which I always dig reading, you know, the artist's insight into their albums. So that's it. That's my vinyl updates. Hope you all enjoyed that. I'd love to hear from you. Like I said, Humble Pie fans, let me know what else I need to be getting into my collection, and let me know what you think of some of these. That's it. Appreciate y'all watching. God bless. Stay strong.